It's such a beautiful and valuable time that we're living in. I feel like now more than ever, whoever you are, however you're designed, however you have been made, however you function, however you know, have been, I guess, manifested in this world, now we are seeing that you too, today, have a purpose here. Yes? There's no longer the notion that, you know, some people are blessed and others are misfortunate. No. You know? Everyone is blessed based on the lens that they look from. And everyone is misfortunate based on the lens that they look from. Your life is your life. There was no accidents. There was no coincidence. There was no incidents that was outside of the divine plan that brought you here in the first place. So this conversation of spiritual health really is to help us identify the mindsets, the ways of looking at life and looking at ourselves in relation to life that's going to help us get the best out of the life that we actually live. That's going to help us transform ourselves and our experience of life to the ways in which that we want to experience it. Yes, this life is led by the oath, heaven is my right and heaven is my responsibility. Woo. Yes. So last night I did a late live because I wasn't able to start in the morning, and boy, we spoke about so much things, man. I can't even remember. You know, these lives, I do so much. Like, by the time I end these lives, I have to go back and listen to them to truly digest the things that I'm saying, you know? Because this is just like, for me, when I open up this live, I open up myself to be inspired on what to talk about as well, you know? There's someone, hold on, 1 second. So, I want to be able to deal with some particular, again, the whole purpose of this live, I really want to empower people, man. Like, on the level of understanding that you have more control than you believe you have. Yes? You have a lot more control than you believe you have. And the lack of control that you focus on, right, is coming from the fact that you are not pointing at yourself as the answer to all problems. And when I say yourself, I don't just mean, you know, your earthly identity. I mean your godly, your divine, your divinity. You know, your divinity is part of yourself. The divinity you have is a layer within you. Yes? And so often we feel powerless because most of our relationship with life is coming from the fact that we're relying on outside forces, outside powers, outside entities to make change or instate change in our lives. All of us do this in many ways. Spiritual health is about taking the entire responsibility for the things you wish to change. Does that make sense? Now, there's a lot of things in the world. The idea is this: there's a lot of problems in the world, right? There's a lot of things that may overwhelm you as issues in the world, okay? A lot of things may overwhelm you as issues in the world. However, and because of our mentality for quick fixes, quick answers, like, oh, if this person just changed their mind, everything will be okay. Oh, if this person would just stop doing that one thing, everything will be okay. Oh, if these people would just leave here, everything will be okay. Well, unfortunately, although that thought might be right, the process to actioning such change, right, doesn't happen in the, wiggle of a wand. Does that make sense? And this is the part that gets us down. This is the part that gets us depressed. This is the part that makes us feel stressed, that we don't have, because we believe there's a God in the sky that wags his finger and goes, you're gonna get $1 million and you're gonna get poverty. You're gonna own this land and you're gonna be the servant. And you're gonna get raped and you're gonna get the lottery ticket. You're gonna get good parents and you're gonna get abusers. You're gonna get married very early and have children, and you're gonna be single with kids for the... That's what most of our programming of an understanding of God makes us think, that that's how God operates. And then we really have a kind of love-hate relationship with God, where we know we must believe and serve God, but we're like, we don't understand God's decisions half the time. We're like, well, what does that mean? Why does this person have to go through that? Why are these people poor? Why blah, 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 blah? We do not have a true understanding of our relationship with the Almighty Creator. You understand? There's levels to this shit. And every time we relate with God, we're removing our responsibility with God. And that comes from how unnatural we are. Because we are artificial, we truly believe, not believe, for the most part, it's right. We've allowed society to program us like robots. So for the most part, we live and act and relate as artificial people. Does that make sense? We live, act, and operate as artificial people most of the times. You know, where it's like someone has programmed us in a particular way and this is how it functions. Does that make sense? And this life, this world currently is desirous on programming us more and more. Does that make sense? We're not like that. The more and more we start to understand, yes, Lugha wa Roho, the language of the spirit, yes, and Uto wa Mungu, the personality of God, we will start to understand our power, yes, and our responsibility in the relationship with the Most High. Most of us believe that we don't have any part to play in the relationship with God. What's the point? Think about it. What's the point of you being manifested here? Okay, watch this. If God is all powerful, right? Yes, which God is. All knowing, which God is. Omnipresent, which God is, and can bring about all kind of creations, manifestations, and situations, which is facts. What is the point of you and I's life? What's the point of Lulu's experience versus Mikel's experience? What's the point of Ilana's experience versus Danny's experience? Or Victor's experience? What's the point? Do you get what I'm trying to say? What is the point of these different experiences? You know, where one manifested as a woman in this particular area of England, another person manifested as a man in this particular area of East Africa, another manifested as, you know, someone from this particular, like, what is the point? Does that make sense? Yes, there is a relationship to be had. There is a responsibility that we all have as manifestations of the all supreme God. That's how you have to look at yourself. You are a God extract. Does that make sense? You know, like if you look at plants and trees have so much power. Yes, and the more you know yourself, based on your culturing, based on your language, you will start to see the different uses for plants, for example. Yes, some people, obviously some plants are there to be eaten, some plants are used for healing, some plants are used for the development of materials, some plants are used for its wood, its capacity to build certain things, again, materials. Some plants are used to connect with other realms. Does that make sense? Depending on who you are, where you're from, how you've been cultured and designed spiritually, yes, will determine on how you use those plants. Okay? And also what you're able to see of those plant uses. The plant is the raw material. Yes? Okay? And your relationship with that plant, with the nature of the plant, uses that raw material in a way that expresses its one of its capacities. Yes, and brings about change, healing, development in the world. Yeah, you as a human being are the same. It's very important that you understand that you are an extract of the Supreme Being. And you are one of billions of possibilities of that Supreme Being that we all come from. You are one of the billions of possibilities. Yes? This is how the unified state that we call God, Mungu, Allah, Ti, Olodumare, Nyame, this is how that unified state experiences itself. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, like if you look at plant extracts and all the different things plant extracts goes into, yes? And again, actually a better example is looking at the mud. I love using the mud. The mud is a great way to understand God. The earth. The earth is the feminine principle to God. Yes? So looking at the mud will help you understand why we come into being. All the different races of people, all the different variations of human life that sprung up in South America, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, in the Americas, in the Caribbean, in the South Pacific, in the Polynesian places. All of these different human beings that have popped up all over the world is not an accident. It's not an accident. We're not all supposed to be one homogeneous thing. Yes? And you can observe that when you look at nature. The mud, a formless entity like the mud brings about all vegetations. You ever looked at a fruit bowl? You got the yellowest banana, and you got the reddest apple, and you got the orangest orange, and you got the greenest avocado, yes, and you got the papaya, and you got the lugwad, and you got the green banana, and you got the passion fruit, and you got the, what I'm saying, like we could go on, and that's just fruits. We ain't even touching the sweet potato, the yam, the pumpkin, what I'm saying, the cassava. We're not even talking about the sour sap. We're not even talking about the rosemary, the terere, the managu, the spinach, the kale, the garlic, the onion, the tomato, the red pepper, the yellow pepper, the Scotch bonnet. All of those things, all flavored, completely different, all textured, completely different, all relating to nature in a different way. But they all, are you listening? They all are extracted from the unified state, the formless state called mud, called earth. This is you and I. Does that make sense? This is you and I. It don't matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from. This is you and I. The only problem is now, today, is that we don't even understand. We've been cut off from understanding that relationship. Does that make sense? We've been cut off from understanding our relationship with the earth in front of us. So we believe, even though we intellectually know we came out of vaginas and our mother's womb, yes, we don't equate that with nature and how that relates to the cosmos. Does that make sense? What we must do, yes, to find true value in ourselves is going to self-study. Studying the nature of us as a human being, yes, as a man, yes, as a woman, yes, as an African man, as an African woman, as a white woman, white man, Chinese woman, Indian man, Indian woman, yes, American man, American woman, talking about Native Americans, South American, yes. You've been given your load for a reason. You have been given this life, your life, for a reason. You have a purpose here. You serve a purpose here. Just like all the vegetations, they serve a purpose. Some can be complementary, some can be contradictory. It's okay. Not everyone's supposed to live like you. Not everyone's supposed to, see life like you. Not everyone's supposed to relate with God the way you relate with God. It's okay. It's absolutely fine. Does that make sense? So, we become more empowered and then even more respectful to other people once we dive into ourselves and understand the truth of who and what we are. When we can understand the truth of who and what we are, you start to respect everybody. Do you understand? This is why I can talk 100% truth and still be friends and respectful, yes, and very intimate with all races of people, all experiences of people, because I'm living in truth. No one else's truth corrupts my own. When you live in truth, when you operate in truth, everyone's truth complements yours. My truth is complemented by everyone. Does that make sense? You feel me? So that's the power. This is what I want to encourage people to do. Understand yourself. The power that you have via the person that you've been manifested as and the way you function. It's no good trying to seek empowerment as a woman by denouncing your womanhood. Do you get what I'm trying to say? By denouncing your womanhood. That doesn't give you power. That helps you become an artificial person. Again, It doesn't give you power to denounce your manhood. You're a man. If you're a man, you're a man. You have to dive into understanding the layers of yourself. It does not give you power to denounce your manhood. It gives you power to understand, overstand, and understand yourself as a man. And do not let artificial people direct your view of yourself as a man or as a woman. Does that make sense? It's very valuable, you know? So, this is the things that I wish to encourage. This happens first by having a genuine, you know, what's so beautiful about life? Watch this. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna keep saying this. You know, someone asked a question the other day about what books you can start to read to get on your spiritual journey. And I'll say, you are the book. First, commit yourself to understanding who you are, all of yourself. Yes? A good place to start is to start with your natural inclinations. Why you've decided to go the career you've chosen. Why you've decided to live your life the way you have. Why certain things encourage you and certain things discourage you. What makes you tick. Why this music, you lean on this music or this culture, this way of life. What is it about? What is calling you to these things? Dive into it. Understand it, you know? Following these things genuinely with the intention of mastering and fully understanding yourself will help you understand life and your purpose in life and your power in life and what you've been called to do and create. You understand? Having a sense of spiritual literacy will give us confidence in following our spiritual guides. You are always spiritually guided. Always spiritually guided. The only things like altars, things like meditation do, things like, you know, praying, all of those things, what they do, they help you become more spiritually literate, meaning open yourself up to hear those communications. Because you are always spiritually guided, but because your life is clouded, right, clogged up, and fogged up, or fucked up, or fucked up, you know what I'm saying, with artificial things, you don't get to relate with that part of yourself intimately and purposefully. You know, you kind of notice it sometimes where it's like, oh, that was God. Oh, that was my ancestors. Oh, that was a spiritual guidance. Oh, I was thinking about this the other day and now it's here. Oh, I wanted that and now it's came. Oh, this changed my spirit. Oh, this is what I've been looking for. Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, oh, moments, you know? But the more and more you start to develop your, energy, you start to, take charge of your energy operation and then start to use specific tools for your spiritual literacy. They go from aha and oh moments to exactly. Yes, I hear you, I heard you, I see you, thank you, yep, grateful, gratitude, boom. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? It becomes a part of your perception, you know, your personality and your language, understanding. Utu wa Mungu na lugha wa roho. Yeah? So this is what we're talking about. Yeah. Jump into yourself. Jump into yourself. Okay, now how do I do that? This is a good question. How do I do that? I tend to write a lot. Okay, so one of my first tools, my most powerful tool is music and writing and creativity. Yes? So music, my music, anyone who's listened to my music, I'm always using myself as a compass to understand the world around me. Whether it be women, whether it be life in England, life in Africa, my relationship with my parents, my ambitions, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what my music is revolved around. And so when I make music, it's an opportunity to listen and see where I am spiritually at and work from there. Yes? I also write a lot. Yes? And my writing is like some next language because, you know, you can't even read it. You know what I'm saying? It's English, somewhat. You know what I'm saying? But it's, you know, but I write a lot, yeah? And I write to channel. Channeling is a very powerful thing, yeah? Channeling is a very powerful thing where you put your pen on a paper, yeah? You put your pen on a paper and you allow the spirits to just communicate through you. Yes? And it's very practical. It's, you know, it's not like an eye roll back moment where you're just like, you know, it's not that. It's very practical. You just write with no objective. Put your pen in the paper and just write anything. Whatever comes up, whatever comes out. You will start to see what is nesting in you energetically. Yes? And the more you do that, you will start to see that what you're writing becomes a direct communication of things you need to do in your life, things that's troubling you, and answers on how to solve many problems. Okay? This is a very great practice. Another practice that I do, yeah? I practice meditation. Okay? And for those of you that smoke weed, like me, I found that smoking weed helps me really go deeper into meditation. So whenever I smoke, it's specifically to go deeper into meditation. Yes? So I do it both with mindless meditation, yes, and mindful meditation. Yeah? I more do it with mindful meditation, meaning like when I have got specific intentions for a meditation, that's when I'll smoke weed so that I can hone, yes, my energy into a specific place. And I get profound revelations when I do that. Okay? Also, when I'm doing mindless meditation, yes, I do what Lulu just said. That's so dope that you put it in exactly when I was about to say it. Okay? I don't smoke weed on that one. I burn incense, open up windows, and I lay down with my hands on my chest and I focus just entirely on my breathing. Yes? And allow my mind to declutter. Okay? Allow my mind to slowly take thoughts and remove it away. Come with thoughts, and when a thought comes, again, I just focus on my breathing. I don't try to say, hey thoughts, what you doing here? Man's trying to be empty, blood. Nah, I let the thought come. And I allow nature to be my music. Yes? That part, mindless meditation, right, is a practice of bringing yourself back to peace. This practice allows you, when you're out in the world, to have developed the muscle of bringing yourself back to peace. Because when you are doing mindless meditation, yes, you are constantly exercising your muscle of removing thoughts from your mind. And you know, oh my God, the bill's coming. Oh my God, what if someone walks in my house while I'm meditating? Oh my God, I have a meeting in an hour. Oh my God, what are the kids gonna eat? Oh my God, blah blah blah. Oh my God, red. Does that make sense? once you've developed the muscle of bringing yourself back to peace in a state of mental challenges or mental stimulation, you develop the ability to do that in your day-to-day life. Very powerful. Yes? So there's mindless meditation, where I'm just focusing on my breathing. Yes? And there's no music, and there's meditation, and it's just about your breathing and your nature and oneness. Then there's mindful meditation, which I personally use when I'm smoking weed. Yes? And I will have a specific playlist and a specific intention in mind. And for those of you that want the playlist that I use, you can find it on Spotify. Yeah? Under Chezorojo Night. Yes? Now, I specifically use that playlist when I'm having some mindful meditations. And I have a notepad there. Yes? So first, I will be smoking, okay? And I'm meditating on a specific thing or a specific subject or interest or something that maybe I'm trying to figure out or get revelations on. Yes? And you don't need weed to do this. It's just, for me, especially when I'm not in nature, when I'm in my house, because I spend a lot of time in my home domain, and my mind naturally is a fire freaking. I find it very hard. Now this is something because of what I call hyper creativity. Yes, I find it sometimes very difficult to bring myself down to a state of peace. Does that make sense? I can be very much like this. So Chezorojo is good for that. Yes, where I use music. Now this is also another spiritual health practice. I use music to dance and get that energy out. Then sweating, huffing and puffing, exhausted. Yes, via music. And I also have a playlist called Chezorojo Day, yes, which is also on Spotify, where I just play the music from those playlists, and it's just an assortment of music that you can dance to, that you can move your energy to. It's got soca, it's got hip hop, it's got Afrobeat, it's got Afro beats, it's got dancehall, you know, all kind of music on there, man. To help you with that. Yeah? So there's so much things, and again, it's all gonna be, remember I spoke about how we are as unique as the vegetation in the world. So a lot of the things that I do, right, you might not need. Does that make sense? You know, it's like when you sat in the classroom, and well, for me, I was always called bad in the classroom because I couldn't sit still, I couldn't concentrate. Yeah, and that in Western terms, yes, is deemed as some sort of mental illness. Yes, but it's not that now, and schools are just learning this. Yes, that children learn in many different ways. Everyone is not an audio learner or a visual learner or a kinetic learner. Most people are a combination of all three. Yes, so you've got to again understand yourself and what you need, and then to understand the tools that you need to get you on your path to peace. You understand? To perfect peace. And so these are some of the tools that I use. So let's recap. Channeling, allowing yourself to write with no particular aim in mind. Yes? Allowing yourself to just write down things. Chezoroho, dancing with spirit, playing music that's going to allow you to shift your energy from the energy that is within you right now to a state of peace that you can go into something like mindless meditation. Yes. So I use Chezoroho when I want to go into mindless meditation. It's not easy for me to just, to just stop the music and just go into mindless meditation, because my mind is always doing the most. You can imagine, if you think about my ability to turn on this live and say things that are not pre-rehearsed, pre-thought about, and not even predetermined, you can imagine how my mind works, yeah? Now that is a power tool, but then with every tool, can become an illness if it doesn't have a thing to balance it out. So these are the tools that I have developed to balance out the way my mind works. So for example, typically, as soon as I end my live, I will play, like, you see how peaceful this song is? Yeah? Usually what happens after my live, I'm gonna give you a picture of exactly what happens after my live, yeah? So I'll be talking like this, yeah? And then I might go from that to this.
Boom!
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say hey, 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 bubble girl, hey, 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 boom! Girl, you look so good, I want a piece of you. Everywhere you go, the markers.
Does that make sense? Yeah? So, I do that because I'm sitting in one place using a lot of brain power for a whole hour, yeah? And because of the nature of the work that I do, I'm here reading books a lot, I'm writing, it's a lot of mind shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm studying, I have clients, yes? You can imagine that I will talk to you for an hour, and then I will go and I will have a client online just like this, right here in this seat, who I will also talk to for an hour. Yes? You can't just jump straight from blah 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 to, you know what I'm saying? You have to put your energy in a space, yes, where you can operate from a place of peace. So I have to go from this to, I'll do Chezoroho after this, and then I can do my mindless meditation. That will allow me to take on what's in these books. That will allow me to think about, the other things that I need to do. Does that make sense? Yes? So all of these things, all music is good for meditation. Music is a tool. Does that make sense? Like I said, Chezoroho is dancing with spirit. It's both prayer and meditation at the same time. Does that make sense? All music is good for meditation if you know how to use it. Does that make sense? It's your tool. It's not the music. We keep cussing music. Oh, music's bad. Music's this. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is because, again, people are not using music as a tool. They're just churning out things that they believe people want to hear. Does that make sense? But all music, whether it's soca, dancehall, reggae, classical, jazz, neo-soul, you know what I'm saying? Funk, lo-fi, hip-hop, whatever title, grime, funk, lo-fi, hip-hop, whatever title, grime. I love grime music. Grime helps me. Grime helps me. Does that make sense? Because again, because of the energies that sit within me, grime is an empowerment tool for me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Very empowering. You gotta understand, did you see how my expressions changed immediately when that music came on? Does that make sense? It's like immediately I squeezed my face, I shook my head, and it was like, I'm getting this energy in me gets out. Grime is a very powerful tool. It's probably the reason we don't have more bodies on these London streets. You understand? You understand? Very... Do you get what I'm saying? Very powerful tools. Music is sacred. Do you understand? You know? So don't ever think, don't let no one get you twisted. Yes, everything can be useful. Being spiritual is not just about, you know, having beautiful songs like the prayer requests that I play every time I do my lives. This is powerful, but this is for this environment. You can't act like, see, hip-hop would not be created if it didn't need to be. If it already wasn't the energy that young people was dealing with, it couldn't be created. That's why hip-hop was not created in Africa. Does that make sense? That's why reggae was not created in Africa. Reggae is a militant liberation music. Why? Because that is what an entire people need. Does that make sense? Grime is a violent, very aggressive, harsh, yes, and cutthroat music. Why? Because that is what young black men and women are dealing with living in the UK. It's, do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you got to carve out the energy. Again, it's like the mud, how you fashion it for your purpose. Does that make sense? From mud, you can get clay. And then you can also get houses. You can build, you can create all kind of things. Does that make sense? So music is to be a tool for your liberation, a tool for your peace. Does that make sense? Yeah? It's a tool for your peace. And I'm using it all. And when you look, hear my album that's coming, Too High to Go Hell, you're going to hear all of this stuff. Or you're going to see how, because for me, my mission now is to bring spiritual awareness back to music. Yes? And so you're going to hear through my album, through the works, how to use all kind of music for spiritual power. Does that make sense? And how to take yourself from one energy to the other. That's what the Too High to Go Hell album is all about. Yeah? And you guys currently have the opportunity to support the album via the GoFundMe page. I told you there's a book coming out as well. It's all under this spiritual health conversation. So, let's do questions. We've got 15 minutes left. Let's do some questions. Yes, let's do some questions. It's the question time, you're just in time. For the question time, it's the question time, you're just in. Hey, the question time. It's the question time, the question time. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Hold on. Let me. Right. What are your views on lucid dreaming? Like, what do you mean my views? It's powerful. What do you mean my views? Lucid dreaming is great. It's amazing. It happens. It's been happening to me a lot more and more over the past year, I would say. Again, the more and more I've done more spiritual work, the more and more I've used my day-to-day life as an opportunity to master my energy operations. The more and more I've done that, I've been able to have clear. Again, it's like cleaning your vessel. Yes. Cleaning your vessel so that water can run through it more rapidly, more clearly, more directly, more efficiently. Because like I said, you're always being communicated to. It's just that we do not have Utu wa Mungu, which is the personality of God. Therefore, we do not have Lugha wa Roho, the language of the spirits. Yes? And because we don't have it, you know, like if someone runs up to you, yes, and starts shouting at you in a different language, do you get what I'm trying to say? They could be saying the nicest thing to you. Hey, unakafiti, unaenda wapi? Hey, unuenguo vizuri sana. You be like, okay, you know. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So that's what happens with the spirit world. We don't have a literacy that allows us to communicate with the spirits around us, which is nature, people, and all forms of energy. Okay, so I found I'm having more lucid dreams, right? And I'm able to have clear communication with my ancestors, with God's will in my life, and understand events and interpret events that happen, yes, because of the aforementioned spiritual work that I do, yes, spiritual work that anyone can do in any place in their life. It doesn't take a certain type of, do you get what I'm saying? So you fear it because, and yes, it's something that I feared. It's like, did I just hear that? Did I just hear that? Did I just hear that shit? I knew that was gonna happen, but I'm scared at the fact that I knew that was gonna happen. Yes? Damn, you know, so it's fear, but it's fear only because of unknown. So fear means you must get to know it so you don't fear it anymore. I'm gonna try and answer more questions so that is vinegar good to use for Xeroxing? What's Xeroxing? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I can't even lie to you. Let me try and get some. Hey Lulu, you've been banging out questions in this. That's funny. All right, let's go. When your spirit is free, how do you not get lost in the realm? There's no boundary. You can't get lost. It's about responsibility. You know how Xeroxing not did. Okay, so you can't get lost when you have responsibility. The people that get lost in certain places are people that's trying to use that place as an escapism. Does that make sense? Yes? Often, and that's something that I have feared. It's like, this shit is real. Yeah? And how do you not get lost in it? You can't get lost. You are here until you're not here. Does that make sense? It's about developing a relationship. It's about developing a relationship with the world around you, and whatever communications is happening to you and with you and around you, you are using it in the functioning of your life. Does that make sense? You know, this is why, like, this is how, when people don't understand spiritual awareness as a tool, yes, then they will not be able to use it as a tool. It's like the people who do, you know, some people do like mushroom therapy, or smoke weed, for example, or all other kind of plant medicines. Some people use those things as a party trick. Does that make sense? Oh my God, I was in this place. But then their life is still shit. They still can't figure out nothing in their life because they're not making the connection. Does that make sense? It's the same way that all of us are surrounded by mud but complain that we're hungry. It's because you just step on the mud as a means to walk from one place to another, but you don't understand that the mud is a freaking tool for you to feed yourself. Does that make sense? So your connection with the spirit realm is a tool. It's a tool to impact your life, to have more control over your life, to have more confidence. You don't have to think about your boss at work. You got to think about the spirits that surround you. Yeah? Don't question, is vinegar good for detoxing? Yes, it is. Apple cider vinegar with the mother. Hold on. Trying to see your questions. How deep does one go into meditation before it's too deep? That's what I'm saying. It's the same answer. It's like, once you understand all of this, and let me tell you, I'm a novice in these things, yes? It's a new development even for myself. Does that make sense? And understanding it outside of the kind of, you know, corny context that this world is giving it, you know? It's understanding that your life is deep. And it's not that deep at the same time. It's so deep that it's not that deep. It's so deep that you don't even have to consider how deep it is. Does that make sense? You just have to develop a relationship with life around you. Does that make sense? Like, life is deep anyway. It's just some things are normal to you. Like, if you was truly to like meditate on the process of childbirth, the fact that a man ejaculates in liquid inside of you, and then you start fashioning a human in your womb. That's deep. But the reason it's not deep is because you just observe it. Everyone's doing it. It's normal. Do you get what I'm saying? That's so deep that as a woman, you would just like, you push out human beings. And they and they start walking and shit, driving and cussing you out in the 18 years. Do you know what I'm saying? That's deep. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's only not deep because no one's looking at it like that. How deep is it that we put how many tons of metal in the sky? We just throw an aeroplane in the sky and no one bats an eyelid at that. You just board the plane, go to your terminal, sit there, you know, watch Love and Basketball, listen to flipping Queen or Bob Marley, eat your freaking food, you know, chat up the hostess and arrive in Accra. And you just think that's normal. That's deep. That's some deep shit. It's only not deep because everyone around you is like, you're fucking in the sky. You're in the sky. Forget how deep you go in meditation. You are in the sky. Like in a second, you can become matter on the floor. If that shit malfunctions, you're finished. But we don't care. We just sit in the plane because the science is commonly understood. Now we are dealing with African sciences today. The science of nature, ourselves, how deep we are. And it's only deep right now because we don't have the literacy. That's it. It's not going to be deep. It is deep, but it's only deep and scary because there's no schools for these kind of things yet. This is what you and I are creating. Does that make sense? My grandchildren will know this as normal. It's not going to be crazy. No, I find it fascinating, but you don't find it deep. That's my point. It's not deep enough for you to not get on that plane. That's my point. That's my point. You will always find communication with your ancestors fascinating, but when it goes deep to the point where they're saying, listen, tomorrow you're going to meet a guy, yeah? And he's going to tell you to come down a certain road. Don't do that. Go with the woman that comes. She's going to take you to where you want to go. His name will be Brian, yeah? And her name will be Afia. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's going to be fascinating, but your fear of going, oh my God, that's too much. I don't want to know Brian and Afia's coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to know that shit. And it's only because it's not normal. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do more questions. I'm getting a 1 minute countdown. Damn, we getting countdowns already? This feels like it went quick. When you find your natural path and your inner self, how do you deal with negativity? When you find your natural path and inner self, how do you deal with negativity? Everything must revert back to yourself. This is a problem that I have, yes? Caring about other people's opinion. But it's all of that has gone down so much because the more and more I'm so in line with my intentions, the more and more I'm so in line with what I want to create, yes, what I want to develop in this world, what the will of God is in my life, the more and more I'm in line with that, yes, is the more and more I don't give a fuck about anyone's opinions. Why? Because I've realized that's their opinion. It actually doesn't matter. Does that make sense? Your negativity. In fact, I just consume people with love. Now my practice is, I just consume people. I just eat you with love. You want to come with on some hater shit? I nyam you with love. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to give you compliments. I'm going to tell you how right what you're saying is and how much I still ain't, even though what you're saying is right and good for you, what I know about myself is fixed and develops at the rate God pushes me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yes? Big up on yourself. I'll see you tomorrow. Bless up. Chesoroho time.
Select your player.